Hello and welcome. My name is Chris Demore. I'm a Senior Vice President at Appriss Retail, and I'm here today to tell you about our advanced exception-based reporting product called Secure. And today we're going to be talking about Secure 5, which is the fifth iteration or fifth version of the application to be in the marketplace. Extremely proud of the widespread use of this application worldwide. Really excited to tell you today about some of its features and functionality. I'm going to walk through a little bit of the platform, how it works, kind of what the primary features are today, as well as show you some screenshots of the functionality and how we tackle exception-based reporting with some advanced analytics, what we think are some world-class features and some really interesting ways to get a holistic view of what's happening inside your point-of-sale transaction base, both through process failure, through employee theft, and potential mismanagement of transactions. So what we do today is really just go through some of the feature sets as well as take you through some of the screenshots. So what we're going to do here is dive right in. So let me go to the presentation. I'll be back with you in a moment here. So let me walk you through a little bit of the Secure application today and what we're presenting. As I said, the product is named Secure. This is the fifth generation of the application. This application was first built in the early 2000s and has been in use continually around the world since then. Really, what are the key messages of Secure 5? And really, when we look at our product, it's think about doing more with less. We really have tried to take the application and bring it to a level whereby users now can, with a few simple clicks, get to a magnitude of information. And really the key messages in Secure 5 are things like empower me to understand what's happening in the business, bring information to me, bring things to me that I can look at, that I can easily understand, and that I can easily act on. Help me investigate, work faster, smarter, more efficiently. What I mean by that is really try to do the things that I would do next, get the system to do it for me. And that's exactly one of the core tenets of Secure 5. It effectively is going to take the things that an investigator or an analyst would do in the application, the next steps, and bring them forward and do them automatically so that users can basically, with a couple of clicks of the button, execute and look at information that they normally would have had to search for or run new queries or take a look at new information. Instead, in Secure 5, all that information is brought forward to the user. Use data and analytics to help me do more with less. Again, less time, working more efficiently, bring that data to me, let the system do the heavy lifting. Tell me what I don't know. Very important. Find things inside the system that I wouldn't normally find through my normal investigative work. Don't just make it simple as exceptions. Make them complex with multifaceted, where there may be two or three components happening inside a transaction that in isolated of themselves aren't necessarily a problem, but in aggregate, they are indeed something we want to look at. Let the system find that aggregation for us, bring those forward for us to take a look at. Tell me what to do next. Point me where else to look. Really a key feature of the application is saying, if I found this, you're probably going to go take a look at these next 5 or 6 things that we should really focus in on to see exactly what's happening inside that transaction base or a series of transactions or in a store or an employee behavior or behavior around a product. Show me ways to impact the business. When we find something and we find an anomaly inside the application, effectively be able to say how to bring that back to business leadership, the IT technology teams, and say we need to change something in our functionality or the way we do things. And that's one of the core tenets of the application as well, is having that proof or justification case for making a change on the IT system that will make the business better. What are the key features? We've got a couple of sets of features here that are really new and interesting to the application, things we call instant analytics. And that's exactly that component where I say the system is going to take a look at a transaction and say, what's the 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 things I would do next as an investigator to take a look at, whether it's the time of day analysis, whether it's the product, whether it's if a consumer and a customer or a consumer and associate have been together in that transaction multiple times. If there's anomalies in the transaction, multiple markdowns, multiple discounts, things along those lines, we want to have the system actually say, tell me what I should take a look at. And that's what instant analytics is. Investigations. Investigations center a fully packed case monitoring system whereby we can populate a case management system, populate our own incident and case management system here at Appriss, but a place to actually take details and information that you want to put into a case to put into something we call fact boards. So investigations are being able to look at receipts, look at transaction data, look at CCTV video, bring in other analytics basically to package that so that when it goes out to an investigator or goes to somebody who possibly would be interviewing an employee or chasing down a scenario, they have all the information and facts they need to track that system. Store outliers. Store outliers and employee outliers are a series of events effectively whereby the scenarios are in such that I want to see what stores are performing relative to other stores on certain key metrics and fraud metrics, things we call SRAs, which are sales reducing activities, your markdowns, your discounts, your voids, your transaction cancels, all those things that decrement a business. I want to see store by store or employee by employee, how they're trending, what they're looking at. And I'll show you some of those screenshots in a minute. Predicted targets, really, tell me what I don't know. Point out issues and things along the lines of information, again, that the system can bring forward that I wouldn't maybe normally find in my normal path of investigations. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. On those key features, what we've also got is, different things that how you interact with the system. And that's really things like dashboards, job function dashboards that are designed specifically by yourselves or by Appriss that are really tailored to the job function, whether that's primarily an investigator who has his view of how they work in the system, what information is presented to them, what information is graphed or collated in trend analysis, or something they click through on an exception, or sending something down to a particular store management team that may be a team that is a store manager looking at transactions, looking at different things that are taking place inside their stores. Workview. Workview is, in a sense, think of it as an inbox or a place where investigators will go, or the user of the system would end up going, where they have items that simply say, here's what you need to look at today. Stacked by priority organization, whether by type or dollar values, that's decided by the client. Appriss will work with you to define that, but it's really your inbox on where you go to take a look at what you need to look at that day or what's most important to the business to focus on. Key actor profiles, that's a little bit of what I talked about the store outliers, really taking a look at what are the trending risks in the analysis compared like store for like store, like employee role to like employee role. How should people be trending and where should they be inside what they're doing that would make them an outlier or basically something that's in the norm? And we'll take a look at how those screens are represented in the system today and how users work through them. Watch list. If there's a suspicious activity, a suspicious person, a suspicious store, the opportunities in the system to basically go in and say, I'm going to actually take a look at this and take a better focus on what's happening and watch this particular person or watch this particular store transaction. So the ability to tag something as, I want to keep an eye on this, bring this forward to my work view, and show me when different things are happening with that basically watched individual or that watched location. Fully responsive mobile experience today, being able to take your smartphone, your tablet, anywhere you go, walking into a store or walking into a situation and have the full rendered experience on that device is fully functional in Secure 5. Very powerful to be used on a laptop in the field or a tablet, as I said, or a smartphone. New features on the right-hand side, overshort reporting, basically a new feature set that can be added to the primary application, as well as cashier coaching, something we're very excited about to push that down to help the improvement level of those employees inside your stores and those associates that you really want to coach up into helping them work better, work smarter, and work more efficiently so that they're not inadvertently hurting the business. Why Secure 5? We believe that this is the most advanced analytics platform for exception-based reporting in the world. As we say, Appriss has been doing this a long time. And the new version of the software, primarily for some of those feature sets I talked about earlier, in bringing that information forward, doing that work for you, what we're seeing is an increase of about 30% in overall cases in the application that it's finding. And that's over our previous versions of the system, as well as competitive systems out there in the marketplace. We're seeing about a 50% reduction in time to investigate, and that is massive. The opportunity to be able to go in and actually have your team, the same size team, get twice as much work as they're doing because they're not shuffling off to other searches. They're not looking through spreadsheets. They're not trying to download transaction data through another system. Everything is represented and presented right inside the system. Visibility of 100% of those SRAs I talked about earlier. Everything's brought forward. You'll see when things are hurting you. You'll see them store by store, person by person, as to really where they're affecting your business and what may be hurting you. Predictive analytics, again, talking a little bit about telling the system to tell me what it is I don't know. Bring things forward to me that the system is identifying as something that might go on and something they need to take a look at. Fully supported, basically, integration with our other Appriss Retail products. As many of you know, we run basically return authorization analytics. We do incident and case management. We basically do a significant amount of analytics across other areas of businesses. All that is presented and represented inside Secure 5 through dashboards and integrated so that it is a singular experience in working with Appriss through this platform. Fully supported by industry professionals or client service teams. As many of you know, we have a fully stocked team of client service professionals around the world that are industry practitioners. They come from where your people have worked before, investigators, analysts, et cetera. They're there to help you drive the system, get the most out of it, and from a week-to-week experience, really make sure that you're continuing to get the most value of the system year over year. So let's take a look at some of the screenshots and what's it look like. And it's a little bit more interesting to really look and see the look and feel of how these applications hold together. What you're looking at here is a traditional dashboard. This would be an investigator dashboard where, as I said, it's kind of that inbox on what they need to do and what they need to look at. You can see certain items here where it talks about your work items. If you think about it, that's your things that you basically need to be looking at. If new work were presented, it would be represented as new things coming to the application you need to take a look at. Cases or investigations in progress, all those things you're currently working on that you have that you're trying to follow and track. You see down here some of the watch lists I talked about, certain employees that basically you're going to keep an eye on, that any of their transaction activity, any of the anomalies that come up, they're going to be represented right here on your watch list view. Quick lookups. This is basically quick links to information that you want to get at, where you may want to look up a store, an employee, a particular consumer, where you're really just trying to pay attention to a particular area. So instead of having to go into a query writer and do a search, you can launch them directly from your dashboard. You can see different charts and graphs here. These are customized by you for your investigative teams on what you want to see in trending analysis, where they stand with different breakdowns and things along those lines, but all represented in an easy visual way to tell you exactly what information you need to work with today. Work view, once you actually go into those individual work items, the anomalies or exceptions are basically presented to you in different formats, telling you where the different things come from. You can see what type of analysis it's done, store voids, for instance. It gives you summarizations of the potential loss values. It gives you the employees involved, how many transactions or incidents are involved, what time period takes place. And the drill through those goes into deep analytics, basically saying, what is it underneath the covers, if you will, or what are the details of, let's say, those particular items. That's where we then go into this concept of instant analytics that I spoke about a moment ago. And this is really saying, if I have this anomaly in these particular incidents and these transactions, how do I know what to do next? And most investigators and professional investigators and analysts understand there's a pattern in which they'll go look at several things after they see an exception. In this case, Secure 5 has actually pulled that information forward, and you can see this red, amber, green transaction analysis where it's taken a look at the different things that a traditional investigator would do next, such as inventory item analysis. Was something found in an anomaly that we have inventory loss or inventory control that we don't know about? It's saying this particular product doesn't seem to have a problem. Item and customer relationship analysis. Was this item and customer together? Is there an anomaly in that relationship? You can see it's green. Item and employee relationship analysis. Is this employee working with this item in a mischievous way in which we want to track that further? Again, it seems like it's okay. But then we start getting into POS transaction match analysis. So basically, we're looking for repeated patterns. In here, it seems that a pattern has been found, and it's going to say that is suspicious. Then we move into other pieces of information, such as the employee and customer relationship analysis at a different level now that a pattern has been found. And indeed, is it saying that there is a significant relationship between these two? Then the key to the transaction pattern here is basically saying transaction time of day. So if we go down into the detail, what we're saying is it looks like those voided incidents are happening in a time frame at the end of each particular shift. And you can see a very clear graphical representation of when the pattern's occurring. So we know that an employee is being together with a particular consumer. We know that basically the voids are happening. They're all happening at the end of a shift in a particular day. Now, in a couple of seconds, I've gone from what was a exception to effectively an investigation to the fact that I have enough information around that investigation. And that's really the key in the heart of Secure 5, is to do that in a couple of clicks, get an investigator very quickly to quality information that can be acted upon. We can take it further in the investigation by going into the details, and basically you see the full representation of the transaction details via receipt. Receipts can be viewed side by side with the transactions happening prior or after to that event. All the transactions that were pulled up by the exception itself. You can see here that we have the opportunity to dive into CCTV and have the CCTV play right next to our actual receipt representation. So very quick way to analyze, look at what's going on in the video, look at what's happening in the receipt. You can see those particular items. We have the opportunity to highlight anomalies across receipts, to find information across receipts in a rapid way whereby we can identify that it is the same consumer, it is the same product that's being voided, it is the same time of day that it's happening. So very powerful. Again, just one click down into that transaction viewer to get you to this level of information. Moving on to key actor profiles, this is what I was speaking about a little bit earlier, where we have the ability to compare and look at trend analysis and look at how key metrics are happening either for a particular store, a particular associate, or a particular consumer. And you can see here a lot of different metrics, some geographic information as to where the store is, where it's taking place, information about the location. Then you get into these analysis where you look at outliers, where we're trending along the lines of key metrics, whether things are positive, whether things are negative, again, represented in green, amber, and black. And then you see this spider chart down on the bottom right here that is looking at where that particular store, represented by a blue line, stands relative to other stores in those transaction types. So it's taking multifaceted transaction types, overlaying them as a comparison to how that store compares to other stores, and saying you can see that there's an outlier here, that it is off the trend line from all its other relative like-for-like stores, to be able to immediately identify that there is something wrong here. So very powerful information brought forward to you, again, in a click of a button, be able to see the trend analysis. Is this store out of line? Is this consumer out of line? Is this basically employee out of line? Investigations. So having a place where all of that information can fall. So there's a very robust investigation center inside Secure 5 that allows you to collate and collect. And it can be those particular transaction analysis that I showed from the first slides where it was time of day, where you can cut and paste those immediately into the investigation center. You can move all of the transactions related to those particular transactions into investigations, into those specific places where you can look at the receipts and so forth. CCTV video can be downloaded into this investigation transaction center as well. Then all of that information can be subsequently offloaded into a case, into either Appriss's incident system, which is our case management system internally to Secure 5, or to another third-party application so that it can be processed throughout however you're working your current cases and investigations. Store model outliers. This is a little bit of what I was talking about before, representing in the like-for-like comparisons, but this is now comparing basically series of stores or a trend analysis across stores. And what you can see here is really trying to look at metrics and information whereby an analyst for the organization or one of the management team members can really see how a store is performing relative to other stores on key metrics. These can be graphed and rotated to where you can actually quickly see different things that are happening at different times. So again, a very visual representation of what's happening with drill through capabilities with one click to get down to the detailed information as to what's making up that anomaly or that exception, with trend analysis to see if you're heading in the right direction or the wrong direction across the enterprise. Store model outliers, again, this is really graphing and trending information whereby you can track and see effectively which stores are performing, which stores are not performing, which stores are trending on a line where basically they're outlying the pattern of relative to other stores. And really just, again, a visual representation of those key metric indicators, those SRAs I talked about earlier, how they're piling up inside the organization at certain places where effectively are we trending downward? Are we doing a good job with our cases? Are we blocking and tackling and getting rid of those problems inside our stores? We should see our trend lines going down. Are they going up? Are we not doing it? We may have a management team or a particular store that's in trouble, is in a little bit of pain, or a region or a district where we've got to put a little bit more effort in. Secure 5 brings those forward immediately so that you can see who exactly it is you need to focus on, where exactly it is to focus on, and exactly what are those problems you need to focus on. So in short, Secure 5 really is a key analytics tool, bringing in all of your point of sale transaction information, all of your employee data, all of your store location and item hierarchies to take a look at where exceptions sit. Secure is really designed to actually do that work for you and basically take a look at it across the board. Now, with that information, what you're naturally going to have is a very advanced query and search writer and report writer. Inside Secure is one of the most robust query report writing systems in the marketplace, where any of that transaction level detail, any user of the system who has privilege to actually write queries and write exceptions can go in and literally define and search on any information throughout their POS data, can combine and compare information, get graphical representations immediately. So within seconds of executing that report, be able to see a summary table, put it into a graph and actually look at that information immediately. If it's something that we want to keep and actually make a component of the system as an exception, it can be easily transported as an exception sent out enterprise-wide. It can cover certain stores, certain regions, certain geography, or the entire enterprise, and that's going to be up to the analyst running the system. Again, a great deal of training goes into this for you with our experts, but it's a really powerful way to give the users access to all of the information coming out of the store level at the time. Designer, basically, when we talk about some of those graphs and charts, really we put the power into your hands to determine how you want to actually let your users of the system work, how you want to basically work within those confines of the visualization, the feel, the look, and who sees what. So we put this dashboard designer into your hands, much like the query writer, to give you kind of all the power you need to present the information to your user teams in the way that you think is most efficient and the best way that they will be comfortable with the visualization of what they're seeing and able to act faster and gather information more rapidly. So really, that's just a very brief overview of the system itself and what we're doing for Secure 5 here at Appriss. We're very excited about this application. As I say, it's becoming one of the most widely used systems today across all of our users, as well as new clients. Secure 5 is extremely powerful. We're happy to answer questions and meet with you as need be, but that is a really quick taste of kind of the visualization and some of the different things we do in Secure. And looking forward to answering your questions, looking forward to hopefully following up with you. And again, I'm Chris Demore, Senior Vice President from Appriss Retail. I sincerely appreciate your time, and I sincerely appreciate spending a little bit of time with me today. Thank you.